Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. This is for entertainment purpose only. This is the case of the Idaho quadruple murders. May the 4 victims rest in peace. Condolence to their families. I hope everyone's having a lovely weekend. If you look closer to this picture and study it, you notice that there's a young girl, a young woman actually, standing outside, and that is outside the sliding door. And you have the Sigma Chi boys here. Rest in peace. If you look at you can obviously see, although they're partying, that he's very comfortable in this house. So I would assume that he's had plenty of sleepovers since Anna was here. The point I'm coming to is how accessible was the entrance in these houses. Let's not forget Kaylee's sister, Olivia, said herself that many people had the code for the front door. There was a neighbor who was on his way to work at 8:30 a.m. that morning. The quadruples happened, and he said the front door was wide open. So we have access to this house, very accessible. The entrance, both the entrance and the back door. I wonder if the basement was as accessible too. If you paid attention, you would notice that the crime scene, forensic team, was taking a lot of pictures of the windows near the sliding door in the kitchen. I wonder why. Who would want to take 4 young lives so brutally? It's much easier to point out at one person, because it's much easier to say that that person had this or that motive, which isn't important to prove in the court of law. But automatically, when it's a dozen of people or a couple of people, just say even 20 people who knew that the crimes are going to happen, but did not inform the authority, and just say 6, 7 was present when the crimes happened, maybe 3 were outside on the lookout, all of them are guilty too. So imagine going and collecting 20 people's DNA and conducting thorough interviews with them and their friends and who they called and so forth. It's much easier to put the blame on one person and say that person did it. Case closed, case shut. But guess what? It isn't that easy these days with DNA. And it shouldn't be that easy either. To get correct justice for these quadruple murders, we have to know for certain. We have to know 100% who did it. I really don't care if it's BK who did it or if it's a Sigma Chi fraternity boys who did it. I just want justice, but I want the correct justice. So to get the correct justice, I would really like to know everything about the 4 victims' life, good and bad, not to expose them for anything bad, but to find out what happened, because I'm sure these 4 victims want justice. Their family need the correct justice. I'm sure they've just been told, and they just hear on media, that Brian Christopher Koberger came with a kill kit. That's possible, that he came with a kill kit. But science proves more. And if his defense attorney is saying loudly and clearly that my client did not have any connection with the 4 victims, his blood or other DNA wasn't found in the scene except the touch DNA. IgG is quite new. It's been there it's been used the last 15 years, 12 years, I guess. You have to prove it in court. They have to prove how they got to Brian Christopher Koberger to accusing him of the 4 quadruple murders, because there's no red liquid tracking him to the victims. We just hear News Nation and Chris Cormer, who said that Brian Christopher Koberger asked, was anyone else arrested? We haven't heard that from CNN, ABC, Fox News. I mean, the big news, whether we like them or not. The bigger the news is, the more they research the facts. It's only the police who would know this case well. But let's not forget, there's a reason I started going to the beginning. The truth is always in the beginning. There was a party that night at the Sigma Chi fraternity. We know that. And we know there was a fight there. We don't know what the fight exactly was about. We were different versions of the fight. And I showed your News Nation, Ashley Banfield, talking about it, saying that the police were called to the Sigma Chi fraternity party. I'm not talking about the alcohol Banfield stop. I'm talking about the Sigma Chi fraternity. Now, where wasn't E and Xana seen that night? From 9 to 1:45. Let's not forget the police was asking the public for information. Inside Nation said that the Sigma Chi fraternity was under the microscope. Now, these are not rumors, these are facts. When I'm telling you all about rumors, my subscribers know me. I say at the start, these are rumors, these are speculations, these are my thoughts, and these are facts. So where was this couple? What happened to them? Who wanted them out? Were they the targets, like the 4chan said? We did see David Lott in the grub truck. As soon as the girls entered, he turned his back quickly. He and his 2 friends, he told them to turn their backs so that the girls wouldn't see them. He turned his back towards the grub truck. What was that about? Are we trying to say everything that happened that night was a coincidence? Could this have been something to do with Xana and Maddie? Something involving them? The reason I ask is they both worked in the same restaurant, the Mad Creek. I'm not saying the Mad Creek is responsible for anything. I'm just asking. Because if you're doing a study, or you're doing a research, you have to start by, after you putting down everyone's information and identity, what you know of them, then you check on their close friends, you check on their friends, which is impossible in this case. But you try and check like where they worked, what they studied. Those are important things because it could have something to do with that. It just doesn't have to say, oh yeah, Brian Christopher Kohlberger was a vegan, so he ordered food twice or thrice at the Mad Creek, so that's where he got the victims from. That's an assumption. That is an assumption, just like I can find other ways of explaining things. And everyone has their own thoughts. And believe me, right now, everyone's thoughts are legit. Because there's gag orders on this case. Why would there be so many gag orders? What is there to hide? Brian Christopher Kohlberger and his lawyer, defense attorney Ann Taylor and the team have filed a motion that they need transparency. What's going on? The public are surprised. Then they wonder why social media speculates. We want the truth. And everyone's entitled to opinion without getting any judgment from any other YouTube creators or from any subscribers. But that's what I love about my channel. We respect each other's opinions, and we're very mindful and respectful in the channel. But we're here for these 4 students. I love Xana's smile. They all were beautiful people, but there's something about Xana that just makes me smile. I feel so sorry for her sister. They were so close, they're almost like twins, although this is a friend. Are they trying to tell us that the 4 victims' friends did not know what was going on? The whole of the university, the whole of the college. Let me rephrase it. I apologize. Many people in the college knew exactly what was going on before the police was called. Why was Hunter Johnson called to the scene first? That's the one I can't get over. I know it's a shock that they took 8 hours to call the police. But what is more shocking is before you decided to call the police, you called the Sigma Chi fraternity boys. What's up with that? We can't ignore that one. Why is Hunter so special? Hunter knew all of the girls. He knew E. Let's not forget. Hunter knew everyone. Hunter knew the house. Hunter knew the cops that used to come knocking at the doors. Back and front. The sliding door. We've seen the cops knocking. And the front door. And yelling at the windows. And flashing torches on the windows. That's another thing. That is what upsets me in this case. Why did they wait? Why did the police not report all these parties to the college? I don't care what consequences came. The worst that could have happened is the 4 students would have got kicked out. At least they would have been alive. They still would have been alive. What kind of discipline is going on in that college? Are parents sending their students to frats and sororities so that they can be victims? I'm not saying that this is the case in all the states, but this is some kind of Greek lifestyle that is going on that seems to be accepted. But what is the sad thing is you have drugs, trigger warning, money, victims flowing in and out of the college. College students are vulnerable. It's a known fact. Parents can't be with their college students 24/7. These are young people who have to make decisions in their life. But what is happening that we, as the public, are shocked to see how many times the police went to the house. Whether the music was loud or not, there was always parties going on there. How come the police never went and got what's it called? A court order to go and check what all the noise was about? Why didn't they report it to the dean of the college and to the president of the college? Why wasn't an inspection done? These 4 students would have been still alive. That is the main thing.
Been childhood best friends, Kaylee Gonsalves and Maddie Mogan.
They did absolutely everything together. First dates, first boyfriends, graduated high school. They had their first heartbreaks together. Kaylee was 12, 13 years old. They're blasting Taylor Swift in the basement, comforting each other. I have never experienced before 2 human beings who just understand and love each other on that kind of level.
You got one good friend, you can get through everything, and that's what they had.
To know Kaylee was to love Kaylee. Kaylee, she was like the protector. If we needed honestly anything, she would just do it. I remember I had like a professor I was having a hard time with. She's like, Katie, sit down. I'll call the dean for you. I'll draft the email. We'll figure it out. She was in everyone's corner. She was the voice for people who didn't have the voice.
If I had 1 or 2 words to describe Maddie Mae, it would be just an angel. She just made me proud.
One of the other roommates was a young woman named Xana Cordova. She was a junior, and she belonged to the same sorority as Madison Mogan.
I've never met someone like Xana before, ever. She opened her arms wide and let me in her life the day I met her. Her biggest joy in life was to be happy and to make others happy. Xana and Ethan were 2 peas in a pod. They were goofy. They both had a beautiful smile. They were both kind.
My first impression of Ethan was he's just this huge dude that you wouldn't really approach, but as soon as you really got to know him, you realized that he's like one big teddy bear. Our mutual love for country music is really what brought us together. We gravitate toward each other because we'd be singing these country songs. We really got along.
And I remember texting Kaylee. See if she was okay. She obviously didn't.